So, welcome, Nathan. Well, welcome back to those of you who are watching. I will remember to introduce myself this week. I'm Amy, and I work with Nathan, but I work with the students at Cardiff Met as well. You might have seen me at our lunch bar 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago? Last week? Last week. 2 weeks ago. It is 2 weeks ago. And you might have seen Nathan a few weeks ago. But yeah, how are you, Nathan? How are you today?
Yeah, good. As you would have heard on my first talk at the start of Belong, I've just had a newborn. So my newborn is now 3 weeks older than she
Ooh.
was. So yeah, she's doing well, and yeah, we're coping with lockdown at this stage. I hope everyone's enjoying their lunch at the moment. I'm about to have a Scotch egg for lunch, which I'm quite
Ooh.
excited about. Yeah, very excited about that. So there we
Mm.
go.
I haven't even decided what I'm having for lunch, but whatever you guys are having, I'm sure it's tastier than whatever I'm gonna have. Scotch
Absolutely.
egg sounds pretty good, so
Can't,
you can
can't
you can
wait.
enjoy that after. Um, but yeah, amazing. I mean, why don't you tell us a little about what you do, just in case people are tuning in for the first time?
Yeah. So my job is to work with Christian unions in universities. So I work with Cardiff Met Christian Union. So hence me being on this call, but also Cardiff University Christian Union, and helping them to share what we believe as Christians is good news that Jesus has come. And I'm going to be sharing a little bit on that today. And yeah, myself and Amy are going to be having a conversation about some of this stuff.
Yeah, so we will, as Nathan just said, Nathan's going to give it a little talk and then we'll be answering some questions around the topic, can God and fun belong together, coexist together? So yeah, we haven't got questions together, but we're going to try and answer some of the kind of more stereotypical views around this area. But before we jump in and I hand over to Nathan, if you do have any questions throughout any of this talk or anything that myself or Nathan sparks more questions or you'd like to talk to us more, write them down, send it to us or comment below, or message the Cardiff Met Instagram at Cardiff Met CU, or why don't you even ask your friends that you're either watching with or watching back later with. We would love to answer them and discuss this more with you. So amazing. Over to you, Nate.
Brill. Well, yeah. So, as Amy has said, our topic today is, can God and fun coexist? And I think this is a question that we all have had, whether we are a Christian believer or a faith believer, or whether we're not. We have no faith at all. We question whether Christians or people of religion can have fun, or whether their God prohibits them from having fun as more stuffy people who are just about rules and regulations. But I wonder what you think of when you think of fun. For me, it's sat in the Principality Stadium, formerly the Millennium Stadium, enjoying a Welsh rugby game. A couple of years ago, I was there for Wales versus Ireland, a beer in hand. I was sat next to my dad. It was just the best. It was so much fun. So much enjoyment was had. I think of other times with my wife Chloe going to the theatre, having fun in that way, going out for drinks, going out for a lovely meal, just really real highs of life. But can I ask you another question? Do you think you have ever truly been fully happy, fully at the peak of fun? I'm going to be using the word today, joy, a lot, because I think this is the crux of what fun is about, isn't it? It's joy is a lasting feeling in the midst of what we're trying to aim for when we're having fun. We want to stay in those moments, don't we, of the Principality Stadium or the Millennium Centre for Les Mis or whatever it is. And if you're anything like me, you're always chasing the next high. You're always looking for the next moment of fun. For me, that looked like, when I was in primary school, I thought it was the bee's knees that I was going to go into secondary school. And I thought that's when I'm going to really have fun in life. And when I was doing, in year 7 and 8, I was always thinking about GCSEs or A levels of, that's when I'll be the bee's knees. That's when I'll be having the most fun, having the most joy in my life. And then you jump into university and you think, well, that's going to be the moment, isn't it? I can drink, I can be free, I can do the things that I want to do. That's going to be when I'm going to have the most joy. But then I start thinking about, relationships and marriage and now having a child of my own. Am I at peak fun now? We're always chasing after something, aren't we? whether that's an alcohol high, maybe a drugs high, maybe a relationship high. Now, not all of these things are bad things in and of themselves. And there's certainly much happiness to be had in a lot of those things of relationship and alcohol and some of those things. But ultimately, I believe as a Christian that they don't satisfy me long enough to not look for happiness elsewhere. And in pursuit of some of these things, I actually find myself feeling a little bit hopeless, anxious, and when the high, the fun high has dissipated, to be honest, a little bit depressed. So the question again needs to be asked, can anything truly make me happy? Can anything truly bring me full joy, full fun? It's like, if I can use this picture, a drunkard stumbling around in the streets, isn't it? Trying to put his key in every lock along the way. We look for fun, we look for joy in all sorts of wrong places. The drunkard's key doesn't work because it's not designed to work in any old door but his own. And we can't find true lasting joy for the same reason. We're trying our key in the wrong door. And you come along or you're watching a CU event, so you know I'm going to talk about Jesus now. And I want to suggest to you that in Jesus you can find true fun, if I want to use that word, but true joy. Maybe a better word even still is satisfaction, true satisfaction. If the analogy can be stretched of the drunkard looking for his door, I think you can discover that behind the door that is yours, there is Jesus. And he is able, to bring you the satisfaction you've always wanted. You see, I believe in the Bible, God strongly advocates that we do enjoy ourselves. He is said to be the creator of light, of fun, of tasty food, the cool pint, the warm embrace, and the beautiful view. Yet God is often portrayed, and maybe that's your view, as wanting us to be miserable, to be held down by rules and regulations, and unable really to be happy. The gadget can bring me joy. The pint can bring me joy, but not God. Well, how can it be said then of God that in the highs and lows of life, someone has written in the Bible, in your presence there is fullness of joy. At your right hand are pleasures forevermore. As I've said, I believe God has made the pleasurable things in the world, but it's to point to something. It's to point to himself. Now that sounds really cheap, doesn't it, coming from a Christian? It's like a Liverpool supporter claiming that Liverpool are the best. Obviously, as a Christian, I'm going to say that fun comes from God. But I think when we look to people in the world, we do discover this. Freddie Mercury from the band Queen points us towards what really satisfies without actually knowing who he's pointing to at all. He says this: you can have everything in the world and still be the loneliest man. And that's the most bitter type of loneliness, he says. Success has brought me world idolization and millions of pounds, but has prevented me from having the one thing we all need: a loving, ongoing relationship. What if what the Bible says is true, and happiness is not found in a thing or an experience, but in relationship, in a person? Enter Jesus, sent to show us what God is like, fully human yet fully divine. And unlike a romantic relationship or even a solid friendship, Jesus is one who will never fail us and never fail to deliver on his promise. Unlike the gadget or money or the latest fashion, here is a person who brings true joy, true happiness, true fun. In desire for us to know him, Jesus comes. He lifts our eyes from our futile attempts to satisfy ourselves in things and to show us where to find true satisfaction. He points to himself. And it shows us a hint of his desire that we have fun in things like turning water into wine. You may know of that story, even if you're not a Christian. He turns water into wine just so that people could celebrate. But he doesn't stop there. He offers real life, lasting life, real pleasure, not dull, restrictive, or empty pleasures that will fade away. But in Jesus, Christians are free to see that every moment of joy now is just a shadow of ultimate joy, happiness, fun to come. Fun that lasts forever, a joy that lasts forever, a satisfaction that lasts forever. So that's me done with a bit of an introduction into God and fun. And I hope you've been able to see a little bit there that the God that we speak of as Christians is not one who wants to restrict you or tie you down to something, but actually wants to free you to ultimate freedom. You know, in Jesus, I believe you can become the person he created you to be. And in that, you can be happy in yourself to the greatest extent you thought possible. And my challenge to you is dip your toe in, give it a go, find out a little bit more about this person, Jesus. And I promise you, you will find not dull and restrictive relationship, but one in which you become who you were born to be. That's me done, Amy. Bit of a monologue. I hope that was okay and challenging for people. But I think we got some questions that we're gonna think through.
We're gonna discuss like three I guess different topic areas within this, but that was really helpful. And I guess near the end you kind of talked about the rules and like the freedom that comes with Jesus, but I think a lot of people might be thinking, well, there's so many rules within the church. Christians can seem really stuffy and they live by set regulations and restrictions. They may not even know of some, but I guess that's not really a question, but that's kind of a statement of like what the experience of for a Christian is, and like the fun and side of it.
I think it's a great question that does encapsulate a lot of what people think. And actually, if I can start there, I think it's actually what a lot of Christians believe about other Christians, is that they're stuffy and they suck the life and the fun out of things. I'm reminded of Jesus's life actually, and in the time that he was alive here on earth 2,000 years ago, in first century Palestine, there were these religious leaders and religious sects called Sadducees and Pharisees. Don't worry about those words. But these were like very religious people who had loads of rules for every single thing. So there are instances where Jesus and his disciples pick corn from a wheat field. Does that make sense? I don't know. Corn from a wheat field. Anyway, you get the gist. They pick off the heads of the corn in a field on a Sabbath day, on a Saturday, the Jewish day of rest. And the religious leaders lambast Jesus and his disciples and say, you can't do that, you can't do that. They'd made rules for every single thing. And Jesus came and actually upset them, to be honest. He in their face, he was saying, this isn't right. Rules and regulations are not what it's about. And actually, he, as I said, he comes to free the Christian to be who they were born to be and who he wants them to be. I think Jesus upset religious leaders, upset rules and regulations. But I think there also is a level to which, you can say, on maybe sexual ethic or sex before marriage, for example, that Christians do hold to. And I don't think that's because it's a stuffy thing. I don't think that's because we don't want to have fun. I think it's about, the acknowledgement of the purity of people. That actually to sleep around and do those kind of things is not what is best. And I think that the friends of mine who have held that view would honestly say to me, I have slept around, but it doesn't satisfy. And actually, I know, yeah, my relationship with my wife is something where I'm secure and I'm safe and all those kind of things. So yeah, there's some thoughts. Jesus would fly in the face of rules, and he did, and we can see that in the Bible. But also, yeah, there are sometimes things that we as Christians do hold to, but it's for our good. It's not just about God saying, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, but he's saying, don't do this so that you can do this because I think this is better for you. Yeah, have you got any thoughts on that, Amy? Because I think it's a really big question for a lot of people.
Yeah, no, as you were thinking about all the rules, I was thinking about the conversations I've had with people, or even like my own experience growing up. And it's like, why are there so many rules? Why can I not do this,
Yeah.
this, and this? And like you said, there is freedom brought with Jesus, but also that there are rules in the Bible, like the Ten Commandments, which are just, they're actually really helpful. Like a lot of our laws are built around the same things, like do not kill, do not steal. Like they're actually
Yeah.
really good moral principle laws that we all follow. Or even things like love your neighbor as thyself, things like that, that we all generally live by. They're not so restricting, they're just good moral things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they don't suck the life out of it. Yeah, there are things that we do live by as Christians, but they're also for our good. Like you said, that Jesus doesn't do it for our, to suck the joy and life out of our life. And we're not these really boring people that walk into church with our Bibles and,
Yeah, yeah.
we have head coat. Like we're not those kind of people.
Not
Like,
not all of us, anyway.
no,
Not all.
no, that's true. I think if you've ever, I mean, you might be watching this with your Christian friend thinking, yeah, they're not really like that. They don't, you might be sat having a drink with them right now. Like you
Yeah,
might
yeah.
go out partying with them, and that may not match what you've previously known about Christians. But yeah, I think there is, even within Christians, like Christians can experience that kind of tight rules and regulations. But I can now see that there are freedom within that.
Yeah.
Even an example is about drinking. It does say in the Bible, don't get drunk, but that doesn't say don't drink. Like there's a line between it, and again, every person will have their own limit. And I think it's about being like knowing yourself and knowing if it's fun or not. Some people drink because they enjoy it, and that's okay. But also some people do it because they want to experience something more.
Mm.
And yeah, I think there comes with that. And yeah, every Christian you speak to will have a slightly different version about the rules that they will take more personally and follow really strictly, and the ones that they don't. Yeah, I'm going off on lots of different tangents
No,
here,
yeah, no,
but yeah.
I think that's really helpful. I do think that's helpful, and yeah, seeing that every good thing, um, every joy is but a taste of what's to come. So we're not to indulge here on earth. I was just wondering, as you were saying that, Amy, like kind of a second question for us, really. Like you say, there's variance in the way people take rules and make decisions for themselves on that God is saying this to me, etc. Um, can a Christian be involved in some of the fun things of life? Like partying culture, drink culture, those kind of things. Because I think there's a lot of people who would say, I quite like all this stuff about faith, but it would mean saying no to lots of things. And I just wonder, yeah, would it? Is it possible to match these things up?
Yeah, it is a really good question. And yeah, I think even as a question coming to uni, it's something I had to face. It's like, how do I feel about the partying culture as a Christian? Um, and it is something that I was like, oh, I'm not going to drink, or actually, it's okay. I am going to drink with my friends because
Mm.
that's still okay to do. Yeah, I'm still going to go out with my friends. Like, there's no reason why I shouldn't have fun with them. Um, and yeah, I just enjoyed being with people. But I also think there was a level of I didn't want to be out of control.
Mm.
So the reason of not to get drunk was okay, well, I know my limit, that's okay. And no sex before marriage, like that's something I hold. So therefore I'm not gonna get into a situation where that might tempt me. And I have been, I mean, even in the last few days, I think each individual person, Christian, non-Christian, will struggle with different things. If you've had struggling with drugs in the past, then you may not want to enter into that, especially if you've had bad experience. It may not actually be that fun for you. And so you stay away from it. Those people that don't mind drinking will have a bit more. Those people that find the kind of sexual relationship side of things really scary, so they won't enter into that. And I think that is something that each individual person will take or leave. I probably am not making any sense. I'm rambling about personal people and what they will put the line as. Yeah, it doesn't, I mean, Jesus was like the best person to party with. Like, he was always round people's houses having food and drinking with people. You used the example in your talk of him turning water into wine. He was not a party pooper, and he definitely loved a good party. So, like, there's no reason in the Bible where it says we can't party and have fun and enjoy life, enjoy the life that God's given us.
Yeah.
But I think there are those kind of restrictions for us personally to be safe, to have some guidelines. Otherwise, it then loses its fun. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I was going to say, yeah, like it's right to have rules and regulations. I mean, we're seeing at the moment, isn't it, in culture, this whole horrible situation with Sarah Everard, is it? Like it's right that we have rules in life, isn't it? Like it's not good that people are wolf whistling girls in the street. It's not good that the idea of to have fun, I've got to be myself. If we actually look inwards, okay, I'm going to use men as an example. If men do what they really want to do, I think we'd have more rapists in the world. I think we'd have a lot more issues if people just said there are no limits. And I think what God says is, and Jesus says when he comes, is yes, enjoy life, enjoy the good things of life, but know that limits are there for a reason, because otherwise the world becomes chaos, your life becomes chaos, you've got more issues and more problems. It's right that culture is saying this, isn't it? That it's right that we shouldn't be able to do some things. And actually, if we just say, well, being a Christian means I won't be able to do some things, rules are there for a reason, or boundaries are there for a reason, and that's a good thing. I think that's totally right. So I think that's a helpful frame of mind to have. Rules are not always bad things; can actually be very saving things. Maybe this last question. There's probably one more question in my mind. Would be, I can imagine people saying, "Oh, what you said, Nathan, was quite arrogant, isn't it? That only fun can happen through Jesus." And I just wanted to say on that. I don't know if you've got any thoughts on that as well, Amy, but am I saying that only through Jesus can you have fun? No, I'm saying you can enjoy life and have a great 80 years on this earth. But it's often been said, I've got a little bit of thread here, okay, or a rope here. It's our lives on earth are minuscule. If the Bible is to be believed, our lives on earth are minuscule. So you can enjoy the 80 years, enjoy it, have great time, absolutely. Keep to the rules that you feel are right, whatever. But actually, what's important is to us as Christians is eternity. So, is it arrogant to say that you can only have fun through Jesus? Well, I'm not saying that. First of all, I'm saying enjoy your life, have a great life. But in following Jesus, we are looking to a greater life that is ahead, a greater experience of life, a greater joy in life, greater fun to be had. And it's lasting. It's not just the 80 years. I think we are eternal beings. I think we are, spiritual beings. And I would say, enjoy your life, but don't do anything in this life that you would actually, that could affect that eternity for the worse. I think you can have fun without Jesus, but actually through Jesus, you see fun in the context of what it's really meant to be. joy and happiness. Anything to add there, Amy, before we wrap up?
Yeah, no, I think that's so good. And I also was thinking that a lot of the things that we do as quotation fun, or like what some people will find like things like getting high, taking drugs, getting really drunk and partying, I think often they're ways of escaping. I think some people will come out of those things after having a night of drink, and the hangover the next morning isn't fun.
Yeah.
And not remembering what you did the night before isn't fun, or having a one night stand and the way that you feel after and the way that it's left isn't fun. But I mean, as a Christian, and the way that Jesus brings freedom and the way that we have freedom to enjoy life, enjoy knowing what comes after, the kind of the happiness that you were talking about, that true joy, it doesn't end. So when we enjoy a drink or when we can go out partying, that joy isn't dependent on that activity. It's dependent on who we are in Jesus and that relationship, rather than the activity or the materialistic stuff that we do, that we have fun in. Yeah, I guess that's my final thoughts.
And Jesus says that I have come that you may have life and life in all its fullness. Like, coming back to that first thing that I said, that the Bible said that in him there's fullness of joy. Like, being in Jesus or being aligned with Jesus is far better, we believe, as Christians. And yeah, I just continue to encourage people to investigate and see that for yourself. I believe that's true. Yeah.
So yeah, on that note of investigating, if you do have any more questions for us, either based on what myself or Nathan said, either in the talk or even our kind of conversational podcast that it kind of ended up being, if you have any questions, do feel free to drop a comment or message the Cardiff Met Instagram or their Facebook, or I mean, even try and personally find us on social media. I don't mind. I'd be happy to have a conversation, or message your friends or talk to them about it. Even ask them how they found it, ask them their opinions on this. But yeah, that's been great. But yeah, do get in touch with us if you do have any more questions or queries. That's it for us today, as in our lunch bar. But you're in luck. We have Nathan coming back, even better, on YouTube, talking on belonging when I have no hope. Is that the right title? So looking at the topic of hope. So yeah, it'd be great if you could join us later, where Nathan will be giving us a great talk, I'm sure. So yeah, join us here at 7:30 this evening. Thanks again, Nathan, and have a good day.
See you guys.